How good can a cinematic adaptation of lauded literature truly be? Obviously, I'm something of a film supremacist, but how interesting could you make a film adaptation of Mrs. Dalloway, for example? Fictional prose can get away with much which film cannot, at least effectively and creatively engagingly. I thought to myself that a great cinematic adaptation of a great novel must call attention to the vitality of the medium, as its source material had prior. Perhaps Marshall McLuhan was right. Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness is one of the most celebrated pieces of literature ever published, and Francis Coppola's Apocalypse Now is one of the most acclaimed films ever made. Both bring to their forefront relentlessly insist upon the grandeur and relevance of their modes of artistic expression. Sometimes a novelist is rendered irrelevant and rich from a film which transcends bestseller pulp into something of genuine cinematic revelation. Peter Benchley ought still to be sending Christmas cards to Steven Spielberg. Also, no disrespect to the prose of Thomas Harris, for example, but what Michael Mann was able to transform Red Dragon into, as Manhunter, remains one of the most aesthetically revolutionary films in existence. Do you see? The Silence of the Lambs is great as well, but come on, Manhunter. Look at it. Anyway, forget that, or some of it. Let's bring this back to Joseph Conrad. Joseph Conrad is also known for his novella, The Shadow Line. Let's discuss that novella before we tackle one of its film adaptations. The Shadow Line follows the development of a young lad taking up a captaincy in the Eastern Hemisphere. Allow me to read out for you the opening paragraph of this work. It is available online, so do explore it at your leisure, if you would like. This will explain both the meaning of the title, The Shadow Line, it is not a nautical reference which is going over our heads, and also why it would be a true challenge to replicate the effectiveness of truly powerful literature in the cinematic form. So here we go. Only the young have such moments. I don't mean the very young, no. The very young have, properly speaking, no moments. It is the privilege of early youth to live in advance of its days in all the beautiful continuity of hope, which knows no pauses and no introspection. One closes behind one the little gate of mere boyishness and enters an enchanted garden. Its very shades glow with promise. Every turn of the path has its seduction, and it isn't because it is an undiscovered country. One knows well enough that all mankind had streamed that way. It is the charm of universal experience from which one expects an uncommon or personal sensation, a bit of one's own. One goes on recognizing the landmarks of the predecessors, excited, amused, taking the hard luck and good luck together, the kicks and the halfpence, as the saying is, the picturesque common lot that holds so many possibilities for the deserving, or perhaps for the lucky. Yes, one goes on, and the time, too, goes on, till one perceives ahead a shadow line warning one that the region of early youth, too, must be left behind. How do we translate this existential malaise into a film protagonist? You can't reduce this fantastic prose to a banal monologue. So when Georges Franju adapted this film for television, airing in 1973, he was seemingly aware of the evident budgetary restraints and opted to treat The Shadow Line almost as a more elaborate, visually, environmentally engrossing, obviously given cinema's capacities, theatre production. Even still, let's assume Franju had more of a budget. What could be done to induce the kind of aesthetic fervour which the novella conjures through prose? Franju creates a magnificently effectively streamlined adaptation of the novel, but it is a kind of novelty, pun unintended, epilogue for those who have read the work, more than a metamorphic exercise in intertextual transcendence. One of these days, however, we will set sail for Andrzej Wajda's adaptation of The Shadow Line, released a few years later, in 1976, and for cinema audiences, no less. We will see if the legendary Wajda can transform this superlative prose into something higher than fuel for the filming/staging of narrative drama. Again, no disrespect whatsoever to Franju's film. Obviously, I hate to sound cynical, but whatever, it is just a telefilm. This can be excused. It's a film to play in many respects, but much, much better, owing to the efficient utilization of locations, creative geography, smart edits, and consistently considered sound design. So take this quick vlog as food for thought, if you like. It's not just a matter of filming what happens in a novel. You can effortlessly create an engaging narrative, if you're as directorially competent as Franju at least, out of revelatory evocative prose. But to transform it into innovative or classic cinema? Well, this isn't a profound question, but an interesting one.